Welcome back, everybody. Congratulations to, of course, Austin for winning the giveaway. Um, I would hope to God you know what to do by this point, so just message
Yep.
Solo. Okay, so we are back with our guests. I will let them introduce themselves, starting with the person to my right,
Oh,
Mr. Eric.
I'm Erik Braa. I'm in season one and two of Realms. I played Torque in season one, and now I'm Carrick in season two. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Solo.
Oh, you guys know who I am. Uh, yes, I'm very excited to be
This is a
here.
professional show.
It is, and you know what? I'm gonna. This is a time for salt. When you're like, when you introduce Cody being behind the screen, I'm like, well, what about me? He never
Oh,
says
that's
I'm
fair. I
here.
don't ever do that, do I? Okay,
Yes, I'm
sorry.
the one behind the screen running the actual stream. Cody is just there being amazing and giving those one-liners and giving Ronan shit. But no, yeah, I'm
Sure.
Chris Solo. You guys can see me in all the things. I'm playing Viago for the last time tonight. I'm not
Oh, that's
emotional.
right.
You're emotional.
That's right. Okay, cool. So let's get into it a little bit. This kind of plays off the intro here stuff. So the first question is for Eric. Obviously you are sort of an OG Fabler. Um, but this is your first time on the show, and I know there are quite a few new Fablers, so that may have not seen the first season of Realm. So if you want to give like a bit of introduction about like you, I know you do a lot of voice acting and stuff like that, and sort of how you got into D&D and just kind of your like origin story a little bit.
All right. I'll do my best. This is
Sure.
probably going to be pretty sad. Let's see. I do voice acting and acting. Whatever. I'm an actor and a voice talent. And I've done video games and toys and whatever. And I met Solo a
Long
long
time
time
ago.
ago when we were working on his project, and I was gonna maybe be in it, and then it actually got bigger and bigger. The more we talked, the more we were like, we were gonna incorporate my band. We were gonna do all kinds of
We're
like
still
crazy
doing this,
stuff.
by the way. It's still
I
going to happen.
No
I
idea
will I will
dies
get
in
the
Solo's
band back
voice.
together in the whole bit.
Yes.
Like I'll call the guys and be like, "We're in. Let's do this." Um,
We had the rhino that shot the fire, like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
no, the
things.
Rhino was gonna be key. The
Sounds
whole
dope.
band was gonna be riding in the Rhino, and then
Yeah.
we were gonna turn it into like a
If
music
you ever look
video
up
slash
what
segment for
what's that event that's not canceled now, whatever, the desert
Burning
event?
Man.
Burning Man. Yeah.
Burning Man.
So Rhino
It's now owned by
Redemption.
Google.
Yeah,
It's now
Rhino
owned by Google.
Redemption is the guy who makes that is a friend of mine. He's in Petaluma, California, and he also did
I've
Medusa
seen it
Madness.
actually. I drove by it
Yeah,
now. I have actually
it's just
seen it
this
in
giant
person.
rhino, and it shoots fire out of its nose, and the side of its belly opens up. So we're gonna have Erik and his band be playing in there, and all this post-apocalyptic stuff is a fire. Oh my god, it's
Okay, it
Well,
sounds.
I was supposed to
I'm
play
in. I'm
Jack.
in.
I was supposed to play Jack that runs the bar, and he was like, you never understood which side of the
yeah.
who he worked for and who he was, and then whatever. Yeah, we had all kinds of plans. Anyway, I met Solo a long time ago, and then we kind of like drifted a little bit apart, and then out of the blue, he reaches out. Well, actually, we had talked actually before that, or in between them, but
Yeah.
anyway, he finally reaches out and he goes, "Hey, I want to do D&D. Are you familiar?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I play it with my friends. Like, okay. So I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to try this out. What are we doing? And he was like, well, a little new at this, but I want to do it. And I love telling stories. And I was like, yeah, okay, great. So we did our session zeros and stuff like that. And I will admit, I think I sometimes kind of suck at coming up with my backstories, but it only takes about 5 minutes of the two of us talking. And like, we have something like, boom, like,
Yeah.
so like,
Oh.
anyway, we sat down, and then he had a few other friends that were, close friends of his that one or two of them I knew. And so then it was like, it was really comfortable. We sat down, we started playing, and we had a great time. And he's like, yeah, this is going to keep going. It's the thing I want to do. And at first we were with Question Chaos. We hung out with them,
Hmm.
and they had a studio and the whole bit. And that was super fun. And then Thomas and Solo were like, yeah, I think maybe Ukador needs its own channel or whatever. So
Yeah.
then that started that and became Fabled 42 eventually.
Yeah.
Season one, I played Torque. Goliath Barbarian. Again, we're homebrew, so we break some of the rules every now and again.
Sure.
My my Goliath had a huge red beard and the braided hair and the whole bit. It was super fun, and it was very Nordic, which is like kind of my jam. And then we did the whole season 1, and it was fantastic. We had a really fun time, and then season 2 was coming around, and people were deciding whether or not they wanted to be in or out, and I absolutely was like, I want to keep going. I want to keep doing this. Awesome. So we came up with Carrick, and he's Dragonborn, and he is, well, I guess his background is pirating, really, and then now he's, oh God, I can't say that I've done anything but like just feel for Kiwin, and like she's this rube straight out of the patch, and I just,
Yep.
I go, oh, and there's so many head slap moments where I'm like, not everyone can be your BFF. But we have a blast, and yeah, every Wednesday night we're on there doing it. Sorry, I'm just blabbing away here.
No, I love it. I love it. It's amazing. Yeah, that's fantastic.
By the way, Ronan, I gotta tell you, the jokes, man, you had me going. Those are good. The red, like she'd never seen that before. You know, like there was some in there that just made me really laugh hard.
Don't make
So, nice work.
Damn.
See, I'm a damn gift, is what I am.
You misspoke. It's GIF. GIF.
Yeah, that's true. I am actually. Where are we on those? Actually, Cody, I gave you an assignment. Damn it! I said I need my own gifts. All right, cool. So speaking of me and all the wonderful things I do, Solo, do you want to?
Are you comparing egos right now? Is that what's going on? I did say you are. It literally goes me, then you, and then probably GW as far as.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think somebody needs to resize the boxes on this fucking stream here.
But we are combining our egos in a new lore show. I didn't know if you wanted to drop a little bit of a
It's
teaser
called
about
Super
that.
Ego.
Yes. Well, it's really
powers.
exciting because so I'm getting my own artwork that's similar to Ronan's as more of like a talk show artwork of me, and not me like wizard fireballs me. And we're getting a new Lore of Ukador logo as well, which is very similar to the Realms.
Fireballs you.
But so what I had decided to do was I did the Lore of Ukador episodes, a while back, was me making maps and randomly talking about shit. And a lot of the Ukador lore, it's literally me like the dude from Sunny in Philadelphia with the red rope everywhere. Like that's what my brain
Charlie
is
Day.
times like 1,000. But it's all in my head, and everything, all the lore that we've seen so far has all been like functional, right? So like I have all the gods, but I really only go in depth with a couple gods if they're pertinent in the story. But working towards the making Ukador an actual like playable campaign setting, just like Wildmount or whatever, which will be a thing probably next year. I can't do that by myself. And Ronan and I were already talking because I'm in the process. It's a very long process because it's paused at the moment. But transcribing season 1 into book. So I've been working on episode 1 through 16 of season 1, which is a novel. It ends right before the big battle that you guys did when you jumped down and fought mammoths and all that crazy shit. But so it's pretty much like every 16 episodes is its own novel. So it'll be 1,000 pages of crazy stuff. So Ronan's already talked about like coming in on that. So then we're talking about doing all these crazy short form pieces of content about Ukador, right? It's like Beetlejuice. But I wanted someone else to be just as invested in it, right? So far to date, Jason Russell's the only one who's ever DM'd in Ukador with Fables of Ukador, which is really kind of the same thing. We're just like that's what Wizards is it's instead of me just talking about Travanis' origin story, we're gonna show you organically with players who are gonna feel it. So I mean, there's a lot of Realms players in Wizards of Ukador, so they're gonna feel when they see how Travanis becomes who she is, and then in the future they're like, oh shit, now we really know Travanis.
Yeah.
So what Ronan and I are going to do is we're going to be recording episodes of Lore of Ukador, which is a little bit more structured, but it's still a little loosey-goosey. So we've already changed something that's now canon. And I'll just give it a tease, but you have to watch the episodes on Patreon only for a little while before we upload them to YouTube. So if you want to see it, subscribe to our Patreon. But essentially we have 3 main gods. We have Azir, who is like my Zeus. We have Okuma, who is his younger brother, who is like Hades, and then we have Freyul, who used to be the youngest brother of the three, but now Freyul is the youngest sister. And we've actually created the story and lore between the three and the different dynamics between them that was never really created. We talk about the Surge now. We only tease it. We'll talk about the Surge specifically later, but Surge is like Zero. It's the first. It's the dawn of mortals, essentially, when the first age begins. So, and everything before that was the age of gods. So we kind of like diving into all this lore now, and it's super juicy. So each episode will be about 30 minutes, and we'll talk about a few different topics. Right now, we're focused on gods. You know, the first episode was kind of a high overarching thing about gods and what the show is. The second episode is a deep dive in those three gods. Episode 3 will be Travanis. Depending on how much we talk about Travanis, she might be episode 4 too.
Episode 4, yeah.
We'll see how that goes. And then Riha, and then we'll kind of dive into some of the other gods as well, and like how they were created and all these things. But it's really exciting, and then like it's exciting to have someone else who's excited about it, who can add, because like, he's not just there as like a transcriber. Like Ronan is becoming like a lore partner of Ukudor. He's got a lot to get out of my brain, and then he can start like helping weave it together. But it's super excited about it.
So far, the episodes have been basically like Chris will teach me what he has,
Yeah.
and then I'll pose questions or interject or
Then you
play
help
devil's
make it better.
advocate, and we'll sort of mold it into something that we both agree on. So it's awesome. Like we got done with the 2 episodes that we managed to record, and we're like, we need to do this more.
Yeah.
So. Okay, cool. So so those were like introduction and things like that, but let's get into some realm stuff. Obviously, the first question is going to be for Erik. So as you alluded to the fact that you've been in season 1 and season 2. So just surface level, how would you compare the 2 groups? Not of the players, but just as the cast of characters.
Well, I mean,
he asked you that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure. I mean, geez, I don't
Very
even know how to say that, or how to. I mean, they're both great. All of the people are awesome. But the groups are different because this time, you know, like Nafiko going with like Life Forged or whatever is like a whole different kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you mentioned in your recap, she's basically got a whole party in their head. So that's kind of interesting. I think that Eddie brought something kind of interesting with the Tabaxi character, you know, Eclipse. But I mean, I love season 1 just because I love the people that I bonded with for over 2 years.
Sure.
So like I have a lot of love for GW and Anne, and you know, I mean, I Jeremy was great too. You know, in and out. Jess was great. Like we've had some. It was a lot of fun. This crew is a lot more like sort of, I think, less of the hey, we're playing D&D, more of hey, this is a show that we're working, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
There's a lot more put together. Lizzie and Eddie are all over it. Anne and Diane, or I mean, excuse me, Diane and oh my God, what did I just do? April are awesome. And then like the funny thing is like more than half of this crew is DMs. So
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Everybody in the crew is DM'd. I mean, you've talked about doing it. I don't know if you've ever done it yet.
I want to. I just don't
You
know
can.
that I'm
You are
there
DM.
yet.
You are there. You are so there yet.
Eddie's confirmed via Fawks Talks.
Well, okay.
This
You want to
is breaking
confirm something
news.
bizarre and breaking news is that GW offered to second me as so that I could DM. So it's in the
show.
process. We'll see if I can get there to be good enough to do
We'll see when you can get there. Yes, not if, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the whole crew of season 2, they're DMs, and so like everybody's like they're pretty on it, and they get an idea. They also I know Lizzie and Eddie especially enjoy the RP side of things more, I think. I think Diane playing the Rube is just fantastic when she rolls in with the hi, I'm here and I'm just doing my thing. And you're just like, wow, like who would start with this? She would, and
Yeah.
and her character Kiwin would. So it's pretty fun. April is pretty solid and has this soft-spoken, Ganassi character that's kind of interesting. So I think, I mean, I love the craziness of GW and Anne and the season 1 crew. I mean, obviously, Lizzie and Eddie ended
Yeah,
up in
right.
season 1 at the end too. So they're all part of that,
Yeah.
So it's I honestly I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what the question is anymore. But it's great. The crews are awesome, and I love them
Perfect answer.
deeply, even when I forget their names, which I'm really sorry, April.
It's on the spot. You're fine.
Yeah, it's a good crew. I like it. It's fun, and it's like I said, to me it does feel slightly different. I season 1, Anna, GW, and Jeremy and me, we all like rode together when we first started, so like we would drive together to the sessions, so you had a lot of time sitting in traffic, like
Yeah, right.
discussing like what you were going to do.
To and from.
Now season 2, it's more like you have about 15 minutes where you guys are sitting there talking, waiting for the show to start, and you discuss maybe ideas of what you're going to do. I think I fall a little bit in the house of Anne, where I really do. I love hitting stuff, so like I'm pretty combat heavy. I love it, and you'll notice with Carrick, and it wasn't intentional. It's definitely come true that Carrick is like, I don't have time for chit chat, man. Are we gonna clobber somebody? Oh no, we're not. Okay, well then you guys go have your little touchy feely moments. Which
right.
to me is Carrick. That's how he is. He was pirating for for like 10 years of his life. So, and he finally said he couldn't stand watching, to get into his backstory. He couldn't stand watching that anymore and being a part of it, which is why he freed those people from the cave, which one of them happened to be Eclipse.
Yeah.
So, that was, I don't know, I really liked that, and I liked when we met, although I find it very funny that he could have held a knife to my throat from behind, but still it was great.
Good for narrative, Eric. You were like, you were itching your shin when it happened. It's fine.
Yeah, totally. But no, it's a blast, and actually I just texted Eddie today about the Thieves Cant. He blows me away with his ability to do that so well.
Yeah.
That I literally go like, the lady with the you're doing Thieves Cant, and it helps that I looked down and saw the chat pop up, and I was like, oh, I get it. Okay. Oh my God. And I totally love it, and it's super fun. Like I said, I messaged him today because I was like, I got to get better at this, because I really like having this language that only the two of us speak.
Yeah, right.
Well, I love seeing it. Like when they did it at first, I was like, "What the fuck is he?" I'm like, "Is he doing?"
When he does it,
is he really doing?
I will
that?
admit,
Like,
Eddie really is kind of the master at it. I asked him. I said, "Do you have like a way that you're looking this? Like, do you have something that like almost like a translator?" And he was like, "No." And I was just like, "Oh well, shit! I didn't even know." Like you're really quick on your feet with that stuff. It was amazing. So
amazing.
Yeah, this crew, again, I'm going to spend more time with them, obviously over time. So we're going to get more bonded.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are still, I mean, all things considered, really early on in this campaign.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, it helps that both Eddie and Lizzie, they were in season 1, the end of season 1. So it helps that we had some time to bond together. But yeah, and I don't know what it is. Diane and I seem to just... I don't know. In our episode 0, it was the two of us, and we clicked almost right away because, again, Carrick saw Kiwin as like, oh, geez, they're gonna just tear this girl apart. I gotta do something. So he stuck with her, and I think it's been actually really kind of rewarding. We have a good time for sure.
Yep, that's cool. Yeah, I mean,
and the hour's up. Okay, cool.
I think the group is. I've said this a couple times on there. I think it's the most interesting aspect of this group is the youth and naivety of everybody, almost everybody, with few exceptions, Carrick included. I just think that makes it for a very unique experience. Which I have a question about that here in a second. But for Solo, I have to ask this question. So how prematurely did the group kill the artificer compared to what you had planned, and how does this change your plan going forward?
My plans have not changed, not at all.
Nice. Well, how did they? I mean, obviously, I think they killed him quicker than what you anticipated. How
Why is
did you
that? Why
see
is that
that?
obvious?
Well, I don't know that that's obvious, but I guess my question would be,
To be fair, there were comments made. Yes.
Were they misleading comments though?
did they kill him early, and how early did they kill him compared to what you foresaw?
Um, Maybe an episode early, but
Oh, okay.
there's no early or not early.
Okay, Gandalf.
A wizard arrives exactly when he's supposed to.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I felt that.
I mean, unfortunately, like all my players are watching right now, and everyone is watching and all this stuff. But just to kind of piggyback, and I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know we only have so much time for so many questions. But to piggyback
Sure.
off of what the difference between the group 1 and group 2 is, they're so monumentally different groups. But the biggest thing that I love is where I am now, 2 years later, being a 2-year season DM opposed to being a brand new DM. Like where the first 16 episodes were really just kind of all over the place, and then, oh yeah, Ted kills your sister, GW, sorry. That's what happened in episode 16. So we were
Right.
literally at that moment when
Was
it's
it
like,
really
oh
16?
shit. 16.
Wow.
Yeah, Ted killed his sister in episode 16 because 17 and 18 were the big battle. Was like hold true, and how the fuck do I remember that? Jesus. United
yeah.
together and hold true. Episode 17 and 18. How do I remember that? What's going on? But essentially that was it. Like, so the arc and their stories is so much more intertwined, and like there's all these things, but me as a DM now is just so different. But the reason why I bring this up is this is their story. This is my world. That is my motto. I have ideas of when I think that things might happen, but there is nothing that is ever set in stone. But it's definitely on course to where I think it will get to in the next.
But I mean, we're still in
months.
Rime of the or your version of Rime of the
Yeah,
Frost.
you'll be in this
Like,
until March. You'll be in
that
Rime
was one of the
until
questions.
March or April, depending.
It's interesting. Okay, I have a few follow-ups on that, but we'll get back to it. Jumping back to Eric, actually, based on what we just asked, so kind of a follow-up. Does Carrick see himself as sort of a leader or mentor of the group, and is that by default, or is that even a role he would want to have?
I think that would end up, if that was to be the case, I would say it would just sort of happen. I don't think that he's ever going to try to be that.
Right.
He literally was just trying to get away, and it was Keewin who brought him. Keewin made him sort of care about somebody to go like, okay, whatever, kid, I'm not going to let you get beat down. And then it just sort of like got pulled in with all these new people. And then seeing, I honestly believe that the future right now for Carrick is probably getting pretty tight with Eclipse. When they started kind of like almost adversarial, but now I think they're going to get a lot closer, and probably closer. They'll probably be the closest, I think, of any of the people, just because like we have our own language now, and we've both been burned. So
Yeah,
like, I
right.
think there's going to be a little bit of that like bond of, yeah, we've both seen some of the same stuff. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, when Eddie was on here, we talked about that relationship specifically, and I had said then, and I hope it's still true, that eventually it will sort of mold into this sort of big brother, little brother sort of antagonism versus actual antagonism. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, he also like, I think he's probably, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but I think he's probably the most like violence experienced.
Yeah,
like, I
no,
think
yeah,
he's
you two
the
are,
most,
yeah,
like
true.
Eclipse would be, probably right there as well.
Yep.
They've seen the most like just the
you've
worst
seen the
of
most
humanity,
combat. Yeah,
or
oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, whatever. I don't want to say humanity, but the worst of Ukadoranamity, whatever.
Outside of Nafiko's left arm, you guys are right there.
Yes, love it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I suppose we'll get trumped by that, by Nafako having so many people as a part of her that eventually that they will just
Oh
they'll
yeah.
be the supreme.
Cool. All right. Okay, so going back to sort of the plan in place here for Solo.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might have answered this. I was when I was thinking about it, I couldn't quite remember. Do we know how many years after the Wizard series this all has taken place specific? I know we're talking about ages, but do we know roughly
Yeah,
approximate
so
years?
Wizards is in the first age. This is in the third age.
Third,
Realm
yeah.
is in the third. It's roughly 4,000, give or take, years later.
Okay. And I know that you've obviously planned a lot of tie-ins.
Yeah.
So I will ask it this way. Have any of us, the current students, met Pyriel or Voltok yet?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have a follow-up, but that's really exciting.
I
love that you love the answer so much. You're like, that just blanked
Yep.
everything in my
That's
mind.
it. That's
mean,
all I
so,
needed.
So before this interview, you mentioned that I was gonna do a lot of tap dancing. I'm waiting for the tap dancing.
Oh, no, it's
Oh,
good.
yeah,
I
he
assumed you
definitely
would.
he soft shoed that one.
No, that's fine. I'm good with that answer. I love it.
He went cha-cha. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, interesting. Moving right along.
Just to throw something else in there too.
On a very
you all
special
have
Fawks
met
Talks.
Gwendolyn as well. Just throw that out there.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to go back and watch all the damn Wizards episodes now. All right, cool. Fantastic.
If any of the ones I'm on, I'm sorry.
I love being on the show, Gwendolyn.
Chorus is a little bit of a train wreck.
Oh Jesus. Okay. I love chorus actually. Okay. Eric, how did the revelations with Ryvon change Carrick's perspective of his family, and has he actually had time to process what all that means?
Has not had time to process. Absolutely has changed almost everything. Carrick's brain is actually doing fucking flips right now. Like, just doesn't even understand how to fathom. The way Carrick understood it was, that they were gone. They split, and he didn't really know them at all. As far as like coming into season 2, that's how it was. Carrick didn't understand, didn't know why he was left, was fucking angry. Then heard rumors that it was that his father killed his mother, and then his father disappeared. So he was just like, well, fuck family, fuck all that. I don't need any of it. So that made it real easy to grow up into the pirating thing.
Sure.
And it made it real easy to not give a shit about anybody. So when it was caging and whipping and slaving and all that stuff, it was not really that big a deal to him. And then at some point, I think there was something, actually Chris and I talked about it one time. I think there was something that he saw in one of the cages or whatever that started to turn him. And I think it was like a mother and son or a mother and daughter kind of situation where he saw something and he's like, And then that made him want to say, forget it. And then, he let everybody free. So there's,
Hey, Eric.
wow. There's a lot going on in Carrick.
Do you remember
right
what
now.
that mother and daughter look like?
Oh Jesus.
We talked about it, and I don't now because I have a terrible memory. But yes, I go for it. You explain it.
No, I'll wait in the game.
You're gonna win the game. Okay, great. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't remember what we discussed, but I know we talked about something that made him change his mind, and then that's when he started freeing everybody.
No, it was. I mean, you saw a mother and daughter in a jail cell that Vrigka had for lots of people. People he's taking advantage of, people that he was using to trade. So you saw this mother and daughter in there. You felt compassion for them. You let them go and other people go, and then stood there to protect them as everyone fled.
And ended up getting away. That was the part I think that was kind of almost unbelievable, is that somehow I got away, just fucking bleeding profusely, and it ends up in dude's cart. That was the greatest. It was that he found me, and I ended up hiding in his cart, trying to heal.
Beyond fate.
Yes, beyond fate. Well, I was bound by fate, and now I'm beyond fate.
And that was a whole thing.
Apparently, fate plays a road marker for me. Because because I'm bound by it, and then passing it.
Speaking of fate always interjecting, Solo, what are Victor's current plans? And does he resume his previous mission? And what would that mean?
Victor's plans. Well, why should I tell you that?
Because this is a damn journalistic show. Give us something. Give us a breadcrumb.
Victor is, and I've talked about this before, and Victor is a shell of what he was before. The Artificer brought him back to bring back vampirism and needed Victor to do something with vampirism to kind of like harvest it. Is kind of what the ploy and the plans that kind of came out. If the party had gone into that office and like looked at stuff, they would have seen plans which are gone now. They're destroyed. But in that office, if Eclipse went in that office, which is why I thought it was going to be the next day. I thought Eclipse was going to recon before he did that. So if he would have reconned, he would have saw that the arms of the Artificer were robotic and were just sitting on the table, which is why the Artificer failed his save to begin with and was kind of a punk. Because all the abilities the Artificer has was in the bionic arms that were not on him when he came in there. And I rolled for that. I rolled twice for that. And he failed both times, so he left them there and came in to see what was going on. And that's how they killed him easier than they would have the following episode. But in there, they would have seen plans like Da Vinci artwork all over the place about different machines and Rosari crystals and Rosarium and the Rosari hearts and all these different things were tie-ins to Origins, which they'll probably find it in a different way somewhere else. I never just throw something out. I just take that and I put it somewhere else, and somewhere else down the line they'll find that. So, kind of going off of that plan, he really just brought Victor back because he wanted the vampirism. And Victor's been back for a hot minute now. So, like, 40 years have happened since Realms 1. Technically, the Artificer, shortly after they killed Victor, the Artificer found the ash of Victor and brought that back to his thing to start working on it. So Victor died in Realms 1, but then was brought back, still in Realms 1 secretly and starting to bring back. So vampirism started to spread again.
Okay.
But Victor still has the same mindset. Victor doesn't know that the Realms of Ukador, the Lightbringers, used the wish spell to free Jocelyn the White from Riha. So Victor doesn't know that. And he probably won't know that because there's no one around that would tell him that. So he's still trying to find Riha and try to bring her back because that was his love, right? That was the big love triangle where Riha thought that she created Victor, but it was actually Vulrock, and he was just doing it to toy with everybody and all this other stuff. But he's essentially going to kind of do that, and it really was my way of bringing vampirism back in a more like organic thing. All of the Lightbringers are like, we're doing a one-shot. We're going to go find Victor and kill him for good the 7th time. And I'm like, technically you killed him again in the future during Heroes of Ukador, but we'll just let that timeline kind of just stay
something
loose.
about a sort of short story about them confronting Victor again. Yeah, that's interesting. I sort of assumed that he would do that. I was just kind of curious to know. Obviously, at some point, he's going to find out. So it would just be interesting to see what his thought process is after that. I would assume hunt down Lightbringer. Hell, they might meet up together anyway.
And the chat is saying that it's still a better love story than Twilight. Twilight is trash, guys. It's the trashiest trash I've ever trashed. It's so trashy that Daffodil wouldn't mess with it. That's how trashy Twilight is.
Oh wow, that's. I actually had a Twilight joke, I think last week, and I just dropped. I was like, I'm not gonna even do it. Screw it. Okay, so it just wasn't.
I really hate Twilight. All right.
Yeah, that really seemed apparent.
Yeah, I didn't gather that.
He's fucking trash.
Okay, so sort of going back to the family stuff with Carrick. I'm assuming he didn't know that they were going to cast Speak with Dead on his corpse. So what was Carrick's reasoning for risking his own life to save the corpse of his father?
So Carrick believed that there was going to be a moment where that's the reason he only knocked him out, was because he thought, I'm going to have a chance to talk to him and get answers of why he did this. I think there's a little bit of that broken little boy in Carrick too. That's sort of like, why didn't you love me? You know, like I
Yeah,
think there's a
sure.
little bit of that. Obviously, that's been hewn down by years of pirating.
Suppressed.
But I think he just he thought, well, maybe I'll have my chance. And I think he just by that point, now that his head was like crushed and he was dead, he's like, I'm just gonna give him a burial, even though I don't know if I should appreciate this guy at all. Especially because the artificer did lead him to believe that it was indeed the father that killed the mother. So like he was just sort of like,
Right.
fine, you know what? Because I guess there's something about what is it, ceremony, I guess, to him. He's just like, fine, you don't even fucking deserve it, but I'll do this. Only to find out that the artificer was lying. So then it was
Sure.
like, oh, wow. Or my dad lied when he was dead, which apparently we found out last week. You don't really need to tell the truth if you're
Oh,
dead.
that's true.
So
Jesus.
we'll assume that my father told me the truth and that's how it actually happened. And therefore, yeah, now I'm like, oh gosh, like, gee, Dad, I really wish we had time.
Yeah, right. Just made it sting a bit more.
Yeah, it made it sting a little bit more. And then when she, said that, let me, help you talk to him, it was like, okay. And I gotta be honest, I knew that, we talk about, sometimes they'll say like, tonight we might have some RP moments for you or something like that. And,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, yeah, sure. But I think it wasn't until literally Keewan like asked him the first question and something Solo, like just his response or whatever, as the dead father or whatever, it hit me way harder than I thought it would. I honestly was thinking like, yeah, I'll do some RP, it just, holy shit, like it hit me harder than I thought. And I'm actually almost getting that feeling now. The stomach started
powerful.
to just sort of knot, and I suddenly started getting like, like all the feels, and I was like, what is happening? And that's when it just, I couldn't take it, just unloaded. Like he was just so like, and it, there was no lie about it changed what I would ask. Like hearing the fact that, wait a minute, I lost you, I lost your mother, I lost and then it was like, and a sister, like all that stuff started coming out, and I was just like, what? And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, your voice is not cracking, you're cracking.
I have I don't even know what you call it, but through our years in season 1, Erik is an amazing actor. And he gets caught up in the combat side of things, and I really have to like dig and find those threads to pull, which took me a while with Torque. But guilty pleasure, but also just trying to find, being a director and trying to find that performance. Erik had no idea. He didn't know any of this, right? So,
Right.
And then, at first I was thinking, like before the campaign started, at first I was thinking like, just the mom. And I'm like, the mom string would tug on someone, but a sister string like that, ooh, like, and with Torque and his wife, and then bringing his daughter back, like those little things, especially when they don't expect it. Like Eric's performance was amazing. Like everybody was choked up, and it was just amazing to watch that happen, right? And there's certain things when you're caught up in a D&D game that you get caught up in the rules, right? Like simple things like he wouldn't be able to speak to the dead. Like technically it wasn't prepared, but I allowed her to prepare it because I didn't want this moment to pass. So you have to make decisions as a storyteller.
Yeah, right.
Like, who gives a shit if you have to take a long rest and then switch spells because of this moment? You lose that moment. Eric's dad would be burned, and then that'd be it. You would lose the opportunity to get a little bit more backstory, to get that performance from Erik, because that's what we're doing. We're doing something that's entertaining. So you allow for that wiggle room. It's not game breaking. Who gives a shit, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
It's storytelling, and that's what we're doing. We're just storytelling while rolling dice, like whatever, right? But no, that was complete props to Erik. There's a lot of things he still doesn't know, and all these other things, but like it gives Carrick that oomph, like he is the veteran, whether he wanted to be one or not, and that was just kind of how it all felt. They're like, I want to be 17, I want to be 17, I want to be 16. Carrick's like, I'm
Yeah, right.
35. And I'm like, okay, like there we go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he is. I mean, that's why I asked if that would be a role he would choose, because I mean I think he's just the default father figure. I mean I don't he and it's and
Oh, is that just because I'm the oldest fucker on this thing?
well, just that and just he's curmudgeoned and just sort of like he's he's just seen the world, and
and I
think
think
sort of a natural fit.
I think that's actually, I mean, honestly, it helps that's kind of like the character that I wanted to be, was that he's not overly talkative. He just honestly sits back and lets everybody do their thing and have their feels and have their moment. And then when it's really important, that's when he's gonna be like, whoa, wait a minute, what the hell are we doing here? You know, like
right.
That's when he comes in and goes, look, I let you guys fucking do this for long enough, but now we're gonna fix this. But hey, now we got like a pimped ass ride, and like we're rolling. This is good stuff.
I can't wait till Solo gets tired of you guys abusing that and just finds a way to destroy it.
There's things that I'm not unlocking yet, because I'm like, let's wait a little bit before you guys can do this. Like, Jesus.
Okay, I know it's like right at time, but I got one.
We can go a little long. It's fine.
Okay, I have one more important question that I got to ask Erik. Okay, same level, neutral playing field. Who wins, Carrick or Torque?
Oh wow.
Without all the toys I gave Torque.
Yeah, no, yeah, just straight. They each have their weapon. That's it.
I mean, I think Carrick is a bit more dexterous and quicker on the draw, and he's also sort of an all-around guy. And Torque is like rage and swing giant object.
Yeah.
But if Torque did hit you, it's fucking painful. Like even the Dragonborn would be like, wait a minute.
How many hit points did he have at the end?
Torque?
Shit.
Yeah.
Near 300, I think.
Somewhere to it was
like
up there.
High twos for sure.
It was pretty far up.
My only caveat is when is this fight happening? If it happens in the beginning, Carrick would probably win. If it happens in the second half of the show, Torque would win hands down, because he has something to live for.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, you have the emotion.
Yeah, he was at 362, by the way.
Jeez, that's a lot.
362 hit points.
Oh, God.
He was dude. If I hit with Redemption, which was the giant axe I took from Ted or whatever, it was a plus 21 to hit. Like it was like, so like I didn't even have to roll the die. It's like, I hit. Like, I mean, unless he makes the person like 25 AC or something,
which I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happened. I'm just saying.
You'd have to roll a 3 to hit most dragons, I think.
Well, not my dragons, but
that's true. That's true. Baseline dragon.
Yeah, the weak ones. Yeah.
But yeah, baseline dragons. Yeah, you hardly even have to roll. So Torque is like in that sense. Like right now, if they faced off, Torque would crush him.
That would be fun. I'd just like to see that in a fighting.
But in level 16, though, I have nerfed a lot of the weapons and things that these guys got, because I gave season 1 crazy shit too early.
Yeah.
But Torque had the throwing axes already. He had his
the bracers, that
the
allowed
bracers
him to return.
Of returning, but then he also had these 2 demon horned axes that were fucking stupid, and he could
they
throw
were
them
stupid
at you,
only like they were
back.
They were good, but they were really stupid if I critted.
Yeah.
Because then if I critted with both, I went into like this demon rage, and I would literally attack anybody, including GW. Jidobi got hit because he was too close to me, and I was in this super rage, and so I was just swinging on everything. It didn't matter who it was.
Yeah, it's a similar characteristic if you play the lycanthrope of Bloodhunter, where if there's no other enemies, you make a save. There was no save for him though. If there were no other enemies, he attacks the closest person to him, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And Eric's like,
they had
to.
I think it was. Did they have to knock me out or something in order to get me to stop?
I think eventually they could just talk you down, but I think knocking you out was the plan.
Oh yeah, it was the sun is setting or whatever. Yeah,
or restoration.
It's the like Hulk thing.
Oh
sun is setting. Yeah, right. Okay, I see. Amazing. All right. Well, cool. I think that probably is going to wrap it up. I don't want to cut too much into the time that's going to be prepared for Cantor. So I think we'll end it there. Go ahead and enter Go ahead. Can we do a different word? Can I do a different word?
I mean, I could pick a different one if you want. What word do you want?
Let's do torque.
TORQ. Go ahead and
All right,
enter
so-
torque in the chat. TORQ and between show giveaway.
Yep, absolutely. And we will see you guys next week.